Alright guys, today I want to talk about 6 takeaways from last night's game versus the Atlanta Falcons. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Number 1 is Myles Murphy was not in this game. Yes, he did have an illness and it caused him to miss this game, sadly. It's definitely one of those things where, it happens, it's preseason, and there's not really much you can do about it. If a player feels sick and they feel ill, you can't put them out on the field. They're not going to be able to compete at a high level, and of course could be contagious to somebody else. Now, we don't know the extent of his illness, but what we do know is that it definitely is bad enough that he missed the game, which actually really sucks too, because apparently his father is a Falcons season ticket holder, so he would have been there last night watching his son. It is what it is. That's number 1. Number 2. When the final depth chart came out before this game even started, what's really crazy is one player was listed as a wide receiver above another one. And what I mean by that is Yoshi was listed as a starting receiver on his team over Charlie Jones, which is really weird. Now, you might say, well, that's because we didn't start our starters last night other than Jonah Williams. We put in all our backups. Yes, but usually when we put our backups in, it usually goes Trenton Irwin, Charlie Jones, and then the rest of the guys. But that's not the case last night. It actually started with Trenton Irwin, then Yoshi. So, kind of an interesting take. I mean, listen. He's been playing very good the last last night and in the week 1. He's been playing really good. Making some crazy plays, getting down the field, getting open, getting targets. So it's very possible, especially with Charlie Jones not really doing much in preseason so far, that they're just saying, hey, listen, if Yoshi's going to go out there and perform at a top level, just put him out there. Just give him as much play time as possible so we can see how good this guy is at playing. And tonight, he actually got even more play time at the gunner position on special teams. That's the guy who runs down and tries to tackle the punt returner. So he got even more play time there. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see. But week 3, when we get that depth chart, I'm going to be looking to see if Charlie Jones is listed as a starter on that, or if it is, again, Yoshi. Number 3, Trevor Siemian looked awful. I mean, that first half was hard to watch. It was like pulling teeth out of my head. The second half was actually pretty entertaining and pretty awesome. But the first half, yeah, it was definitely not there, coach. It was not there. And I'm not sure why Trevor Siemian's stats aren't even on here, other than the fact that even NFL.com said, nah, we're not going to put his stats on here anymore. But he was horrendous. I mean, it was so bad in the second half that you see 140 yards. Yeah, Jake Browning got that. It got literally in one play. It was like a 33-yard on one drive. That was half of what Trevor Siemian did in the whole first half. He had 72 yards passing in the first half. Like, it wasn't good. And to be honest, the offensive line was blocking pretty dang well. And to give them credit, I mean, there was one sack all night long by the Falcons. We got 4 sacks last night. We got some pressure on them. But for our offensive line, they couldn't run block to save their lives, but they actually were pretty dang good when it came to pass blocking. And yet, Trevor Siemian couldn't get the job done. And this is the second week in a row that Trevor Siemian has looked very mid/not really that great. And it's disappointing to see, in all honesty, especially, again, moving forward, that we need a guy, if Joe did end up going down, to, step up and be that guy. And a lot of people thought it was going to be Trevor Siemian because he's a veteran, right? He's played in the NFL before. He's been a starter. He has won games before in the NFL. But with that being said, it seems like that's not going to be the guy. Trevor Siemian just might be not good, which that's not surprising at all, right? With that being said, though, number 4 is going to be the offensive line. Now, last night we tried out a new system/set for offensive line. Jackson Carman played left tackle. This is something he has not done in last week in preseason, and he did it because we want to see how he plays at left tackle still. A lot of practices last week after our first preseason game, he he actually got a lot of reps at left tackle to see if he could still play at a high level. And he was actually pretty dang good. And even in this preseason game last night, he wasn't the greatest, but he was very serviceable. And that's really nice to see. Now, we did put, we kind of moved it around. We put Max at right guard. There was plays where Max was center. We had Trey Hill at right guard. And we had Cody Ford at right tackle. And one thing I will say is Cody Ford is not a good right tackle. He was getting blown by so many different times on so many different plays. It was actually embarrassing to watch him out there last night. So, I will say overall, again, these are our backups. Jonah looked pretty decent, but these are our backups. Keep that in mind. But at the same time, though, if we ever have injuries on this offensive line again, it's going to get ugly, ugly, ugly yet again. We don't have much depth, and no depth is not going to get the job done. You also got to keep in mind, again, we could not run the ball last night. Like, no matter how many times we tried, we could not run the ball. And even when, in the second half, when, the defenses get weaker because, backups in there, we still couldn't move the ball effectively on the ground. We tried, we couldn't do it. So that just goes to show, again, how bad our backup offensive line is. And this is continuing until week 2 versus the Falcons here. Now, I will say number 5 is going to be that first-string defense. That first-string defense, it was definitely interesting. We ended the drive off with Mike Hilton causing a tipped-up pass and getting an interception. And in all honesty, that was the best way to end that drive because they went right down the field on us. They ran it down our throats. They passed it down our throats. And keep in mind, we were playing a very vanilla defense. Lou is not going to throw out there what he's going to be doing on week 1 versus the Browns, right? He's going to be trying to kind of do not trick plays, but show really basic plays so that they don't have, the Browns don't know what we're going to do, right? So it's not like it's a huge deal or huge problem, but I will definitely say some certain plays, it looked like we just kind of were off, out of place. We weren't in correct situations. Now, again, you have to also keep in mind this is the first time this first-team defense has played since, January. So, that might be why, too. There's a little bit of rust on them. Shake off the rust a little bit. And this is why you do play a couple, maybe one series in the preseason for that said reason. Now, number 6 and the last one here is, of course, Yoshi. Yes, I do want to bring up Yoshi because, listen, Yoshi went out last night and he played great. And this is another game where he actually got a deep target toward the end zone. And if it wasn't for a PI call that wasn't called, he would have had a touchdown. And this is a second, game where, let's be honest, it was a big throw down the field. And that big throw could have been back-to-back touchdown, huge touchdown drives for Yoshi. And as it goes to show, if he had Joe Burrow in there, it would be so much different, right? He would have gotten a lot better of a pass. He would have gotten a lot better of a play. And he probably would be coming away from this preseason with 2 touchdowns. And I will say, it really is showing as we go through preseason so far. I'm sorry I keep cutting my camera off. My nose is absolutely dying right now. Is that Yoshi is probably the guy. And I starting to think that Yoshi might be Tyler Boyd's replacement. I think Charlie Jones is going to be great, and I can't wait to see how he plays. And obviously, he's still coming back from his injury in his shoulder, right? And I don't want to make early predictions of Charlie Jones is done, but I'm starting to think Yoshi could be that replacement for Tyler Boyd, and that's really exciting because I thought we wouldn't get this answer or see this until probably week 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 weeks into the season. But we're seeing it already. We're seeing a pretty solid player here getting the job done. And if we do keep Tyler Boyd, I would love that. If we keep him for the rest of his career, I would love that. I would love to see him retire a Bengal. But at the end of the day, if he does have to leave because he wants to go somewhere else to get paid, it is what it is. And I think we have the guy that can take over. I don't know. Early predictions. but I'm just going to put it out there. Yoshi might be him. See you guys next one. Peace.